Jay, as I mentioned, the Assistant Superintendent at East Pennsboro School District. At the national level, the President's budget proposal for the current the upcoming fiscal year includes $110 million of funding for something called STEM Innovation Networks. And that would be a program which envisions to make awards to districts that are getting after partnerships with colleges and other regional partners and so forth to transform STEM teaching and learning. And there's always the question that, you know, a project or a program funding proposed is not the same as funding approved. We know that. But whether or not this program makes it through, I wonder if you could share some perspectives about what are some of the best practices that you're seeing, you're experiencing in terms of engaging, making this connection on STEM careers in the classroom. And then if you could also maybe go into some thoughts about how schools can best integrate the standards and project-based learning when there are so many constraints in terms of time and in terms of funding.
Sure. First and foremost, I think the opportunity today to start this process is to establish the urgency. And I think when you go into the sessions, you hear that. And then you hear a lot of the word relationship or partnerships. And I think those are two of the critical elements that you have to have in order to move this forward. And then the first thing that East Pennsboro has done, we've been on this journey now for several years. It's been 9 years since I've arrived there. In all of those 9 years, we've had a partnership with Asset, and they've played a critical role in our success. And that is basically around teacher preparation, professional development, developing coaches, collaboration, partnerships with businesses. We have local banks that we work with. Our community's expectations, what is it that they're looking for from the school, and are we meeting those expectations? And we also, I heard it earlier today about partnerships, getting our teachers out into the workforce, and we have that with our local IU, Capital Area Intermediate Unit. And we have educators that go into the workforce every summer, and then they come back with the real-life experience and the conversation with the people that they're sending students to work for and support. So those are some of the things that we feel have been successful for us, and that also have the teachers come back to understand what is necessary for success, not only in STEM, particularly though we're focusing on that at this time, but in all fields, those problem-solving skills, collaboration. The other thing we need to do is we have to have an aligned curriculum. And what better way to align the curriculum to the standards and the practices is to have those conversations with those people that we're sending our workforce or our students to. Resources to deliver the curriculum. I sit here before you as an administrator, someone who helps make decisions that impact 2,800 students in our district. We have to have that clear vision and that commitment to that vision and the resources. And that may mean allocating time in ways that are new and innovative. That may mean looking at resources that have to be redistributed in order to meet those needs. To go back to all the things that we talked about earlier, which were community expectations, business needs, and also preparing our students for success. And the governor said earlier today, not only with our neighboring school districts in central Pennsylvania where we're located, but across the state, across the country, across the world. Conversations I frequently have with my own children. And finally, we have to measure our success or measure our results. We can't guess. Guessing days are gone. We have to look if it's effective, and that goes back to the resources, both time and money. And if it is working, fantastic. Let's expand it. And if it isn't, I talked with a friend today, I haven't seen in a while, he used the word repurpose. He's repurposing a building. We'll repurpose our resources. And to get to the second part of the question, it does tie to the first, and I said it earlier, it's that relentless commitment to your vision. There's many books out there that say once you establish it, it has to be clear and you have to be tireless in your pursuit. And I see that more and more every day because everyone in this room, both personally and professionally, have experienced budget constraints. So how do we do what we need to do in order to best meet the needs of our household and or our children, the children of our district? And I also believe in saying, if you say it, then do it. And I think that's one message that has to be something we as administration would model for our teachers and for our teachers to model for our students. And I think you'll see that when we listen to the gentleman who spoke earlier, whose name escapes me, from Calgon, he talked about that. He talked about identifying those students early and helping them and getting them out into the system. And that providing opportunities that might not otherwise be there. And again, establishing that importance. And that working with that relationship to build that partnership, to get those areas that might otherwise go unnoticed. And finally, I thought of an analogy because I like to tell stories with an analogy, and it's about cars. We all like cars. Everybody likes to buy a new car. Well, cars, when they're redesigned, cause a major upheaval in the company. They have to retool the line, they have to redistribute their resources, they have to retrain, and if they don't, they will fail. Education is no different. Education is changing today, tomorrow, and next year. It'll be very different than what we see today. And the question about the 140 characters for Twitter, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that didn't exist in the way it does now. So we as an organization or an institution have to do that very thing. We have to retrain our teachers and our administrators. We have to retool our lines, and we have to make sure that we're getting everything we need to be effective and efficient in today's times with constraints both in the budget as well as in time in our school day. So